He fights for freedom wherever there's trouble. G.I Joe is there. G.I Joe, a real American hero. Okay, so now that I have scared off half my audience, let's get down to business. I actually liked G.I Joe Retaliation, actually. Sure, it's not a great movie by any means, but a good one. It still had some really dumb moments, like when the warden found out that Snake Eyes was Storm Shadow, and he didn't tell anyone, and why didn't anyone question the president's decision to hire a fucking terrorist organization? But I have two reasons why I liked that movie. First, it do what all good action movies does. It sets up the characters and the situation before all the action starts. The reason why movies like Batman Begins and Taken works is not the action itself, but because we actually get to know the characters before the action starts, so we can care about them. And that leads me to my second reason, the characters. As a fan of the original 80s cartoon, I thought they were very respectable to the source material. Sure, the movie characters are a bit different, like all reinterpretations are, but they were still very truthful to the original. Roadblock obviously don't rhyme in this, but he's still a badass that also likes to stay home with the family. Lady J is still a smart mouth-off that makes sure nobody fucks with her. Sure, they sexualized her, but I didn't think that destroyed the character. And while I will always love the goofy yet awesome Cobra Commander from the 80s, I was still impressed with this new, more menacing version of the character. And of course, Firefly is still the homicidal mercenary we all know and love. Yeah, it's a little bit sad when the director of a Justin Bieber documentary understands action a lot more than renowned filmmaker George Lucas does. Speaking of, now the same director is planning a sequel. It doesn't have a name yet, but I have some ideas for what characters I want to see in that movie. So let's start with the Joes, shall we? Of course I want to see Sergeant Slaughter. I mean, he's just so over the top and ridiculously awesome. I mean, he looks like he eats steroids for breakfast, and he just acts like a fucking madman. I mean, he's just really funny. Next is Lowlight. That is one of my favorite G.I. Joes. Lowlight is the Joe's night operative. He is an expert on night vision cameras and laser sights. And here is why I like him so much. He is actually afraid of the dark. So, like Batman in Batman Begins, he has turned his greatest fear into a strength. The dark is his territory and no one can beat him at it. Another fun character is Sci-Fi. He is an engineer. And he is a big fan of old science fiction movies and series. And what makes him so fun is that he designs weapons and gears after those old science fiction stories. So it would just be really awesome to see him or any of the other Joes use the jetpack from the Rocketeer, or the lightsaber from Star Wars. And of course he would be the one that made it. He would be the one that designed it. Other fun characters I would like to see in this movie is Leatherneck, Tunnel Rat, Mainframe, and Shipwreck. I have no idea yet who would play these characters, but maybe I make a casting list someday. Now for the villains. The thing with the villains though is that they have already used my favorites. And for those that don't know, my favorites are Storm Shadow, Cobra Commander, and Firefly. So I had to go deep for this one. First of all, I want to see the Bats. The Bats, for those that don't remember, is Cobra's android army. And the thing is that unlike the stormtroopers in Star Wars, the clones in Star Wars, where they say, oh, these are the ultimate warriors, these are, you know, these are what's gonna tip the balance of power, when later we find out they are actually not that freaking powerful. The bats, they definitely are. Like, they are almost indestructible. You can you know, pierce them with fucking spikes. You can bomb them. You can cut off their heads, but they will just keep coming. So they were, you know, when they were on screen, you really felt that there was a threat to be felt here. Actually, you can even make them a major part of the story, actually. You know, they could be like Cobra's new ultimate secret weapon against the Joes and, you know, the world. Their new way of conquering the world. Metalhead. Now, Metalhead would be the perfect comic relief for this film. In the cartoon, he was this dumb but really insane guy that loved to blow things up. I remember in one episode where Cobra had a new bomb, and Metalhead was all like, "Oh, please, Cobra Commander, let me blow it up. Oh, please, please." And Cobra Commander said, "Okay, what don't I do for my employees?" You know, he's just really, really funny, and he has so much fun dialogue. Even if he is kind of an idiot. The only other Cobra agent I want to see is Wild Weasel. Now, Wild Weasel, he could replace Firefly as sort of the muscle of the group. He is Cobra's fighter jet pilot, and like his name implies, he is a crazy son of a bitch. He loves to shooting wild. Also with this guy, we might get to see some awesome dogfights, and that is something we haven't seen yet in these movies. Last thing I want to say is that I want to keep Cobra Commander as like the head villain of these movies, because I don't like, you know, freaking Serpentor. I think he's a lame villain, and I think that Cobra Commander is a much more interesting and a much more cool character, so just keeps him. No fucking Serpentor. Okay, that was all I had to say for this video. See you next time.